Mexican Mandel Golf Course Advisory Committee, notice of meeting and agenda. Written notice is hereby given of a meeting, the City of Laredo Mexican Mandel Golf Course Advisory Committee to be held on Thursday, July 22nd, 2021 at the Mandel Golf Course, second floor, reception hall, 2700 FM 1472 Laredo, Texas at 12 p.m. for the following items of business. Call the meeting to order. Ruth, can you get roll call?
Roll call. Fernando Rodriguez.
Present.
Luis Peregrin.
Here.
Ricardo Contreras.
Here.
Rick Garza.
I'm here.
Joaquin Rodriguez. Not in.
He's there. He's there. He's unmuted.
He's here.
Yeah, he's unmuted.
Okay.
He's unmuted.
And Tony Martinez.
Tony's not here.
And who's does Tony over there?
No, that's us. That's you talking to
Oh,
him.
okay. No, yeah, then Tony's the only one that's not here. We have quorum. Yeah.
Okay. Next item would be the approval of the minutes for the last meeting we had on March 18, 2021. I don't know if you all got a chance to look at them. I just went there, I guess perused through them. Everything seems to be in order. Is there any questions? If there are none, all those in favor of approving the minutes for March 18, 2021, please say yay.
Yeah. Yay. Yay.
Yay. The minutes have been approved. Is there any public comments?
No.
Nobody
No,
signed up for public comments?
No.
Okay. Communications. JJ, that falls under you or Dennis?
Yeah, let me start it. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see everyone again. We were looking forward to meeting over there. I was looking forward to getting over there. I got an unexpected meeting at 1:30 in the city manager's office, so I will not make the trip right over there back, make it by then. So hopefully we got a couple of things we want to discuss today. I need to leave here about 1:15, but anything that needs to get discussed or concerns, Ruthie will be there, and we'll write it down and we'll visit again hopefully soon, so we can take care of it. So again, good to see everyone again, and we'll get the staff report. I'll go from there. Dennis, anything on your end?
No other than for a staff report or just communication or?
I just communications.
Okay. No, I mean, I think I see most of the gentlemen here on a weekly basis. So I think there's some stuff that we'll talk about on the report.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, is there any items for discussion and possible action?
Rick, this is we have to elect chair and vice chair again, if needed to be, and you all have to wait. Want to keep as is or whatever you think. Just want to we have quorum so we can.
Well, Jay, can we hold it off till next month? I want everybody to see that and know that. That way there won't be any. We're doing okay right now. We've only had 2 meetings this year, and I think it's only right that everybody gets to see that at the agenda, so that next month on the agenda put in there that we're going to be voting for it, because when you send out the agenda, everybody will notice that that's going to happen. So if they don't attend, then at least they know that we're going to vote for new officers or a new group.
Okay, so let's table it to the next meeting, Ruthie.
Okay.
Make sure that we put selection of chair and vice chair so that everybody's aware.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll table that. Okay. Mr. Garza. Move on.
Now we move on to the staff report.
Okay. First one is golf course maintenance and upkeep report. Dennis, I guess you want to start from there, and then we'll go to number 2 and we'll go from there.
Okay. As we all know, Tom has moved on, and in his place right now we have David Smith. Some of you know him from the club. I've known him for about 20 years now. So I can't be happier. It's a level of communication that wasn't there before. So it's very easy for me to say, hey, there's this spot on 6. I know you all saw Gary Jacobs' email. There was an instance there late June through mid-July or first week of July where And Coach was very involved with us, and thanks for your help with utilities and getting it all situated. We had several pipes kind of get spring leaks, but in doing so, a wire was cut while they were repairing a leak on 17. So that ended up throwing all our boards, our circuit boards on our satellites per hole. Some of them got burned out. So by the time we got everything back in place, there was some areas, because we were rotating, we pulled out the board off one machine, put the water that one overnight, because we cannot get the satellite pieces in time just because of COVID. Just like in everything else, there was a supply kind of issue. We got everything in place now. Now we're working with getting those boards back up, but we're watering back every day. Again, Coach, thank you for yesterday. We had another leak on 10, and the guys came and responded, and we got it back to, so we didn't even skip one day of watering. With that, I know Coach and I have talked to Mr. Arturo from Utilities, and he said that being our pipes are 10 years old now, or a little older in that case, because they were here since they dug them in. We will be experiencing that more. I don't know if you want to talk about that, Coach. That way you can let them know what you guys are having in store for us.
Mr. Vice Chair and members of the committee, I've been in contact with Art Garcia with Utilities, and in the last couple of months we've been having issues with the sprinklers, like the main lines and all that. And in talking with them, they said, "Look, Mr. Gomez, these things are already that is at 10 to 11 years old. God knows how long more it's going to last." So, I'm gonna meet with them here soon. Actually, I was supposed to meet with this afternoon, but after this meeting, we were supposed to meet there, but I told them I had the city manager meeting. So, in the next couple of days, we're gonna meet out there. They're gonna give me a checklist of stuff that we need to have there all the time. For example, a grapple, and then they're gonna recommend. They talked about some stainless steel IVs and screws and all that will help so that we can fix this problem, not just put a Band-Aid on it, and hopefully it will last us for the next 15 years or so. So it's going to be a work in progress, but I think this is stuff that he's telling us that it's, like anything else, like the pipes in your house, with time, it starts to give out, and we're going to start having issues. And all we're going to be doing, you're going to be calling us, which we don't mind, they said, but I think we need to let's address the main issue and have to redo some of the main lines. So that is going to be, the number one priority. Of course, is the most important thing. So the next couple of days, they're going to give us an inventory of what we need, and then store it there at the facilities, and that way anything happens, we can jump right away.
And even train some of our guys, right?
Exactly, and train our guys. That if it happens, we don't have to wait to call utilities. They have to get there the next morning, and God forbid, so that doesn't happen. So they're going to train our guys, my part guys, along with the max maintenance, to learn how to handle it and how to fix it.
Jay, let me interject here. One of the things that we'll have to do as a committee on this particular issue, and one of the things that would be great for all of us, is we have to learn the whole process as we move along. When you get to that point, I'd like to see if we can get in one of these monthly meetings, a description of what's going to go on, why it's going to go on, why we're using what we're doing, and how we're going to train them in detail.
Like you said, for the longest time, that was always kind of if you could say anything about our greens, where they were a little slower than what the course looks. The course looks like it's going to have fast greens. I think we've always been very cautious to not cut them too short, not leave them dry too long, because then you're kind of in that slippery slope where one bad thing can really send you into a bad situation. But with Dave being here and all that, that's kind of one thing we talked about, was to let's see if we can get them just a little bit faster, a little bit healthier, even though they might not look as healthy because they don't look as green, but they're actually very healthy. And I'll let Dave talk about it a little bit, just how he's approaching that.
Yeah, basically, this is typical green, same as I was used to over at the country club. You can cut those down to 125, no problem. We came in, they were 135, which is not much of a difference, but in summertime, it really is. My goal is to get them back up in height, but make them tighter and healthier, so we can have a healthy green through the summer and still control the speed, being a little bit faster than we're used to up here. So what that does, coming into fall and spring, you have a thicker thatch on top. So you want to control that thatch level. Once you have the thicker thatch, that controls your algae problems and et cetera, et cetera. That's my biggest concern going into fall and winter, is not having these same problems as I did at the country club and that they've had here, the newer greens. So one concern is, do we overseed? Do we not overseed? It's not a very expensive process, and that really creates a line through the winter and spring and fall and through spring. But the chemicals they have these days, you can wipe that stuff out. They used to call a transition period from where you get rid of the overseed to the grass, going back to your tip drawer. But my main concentration is going to be these greens. The course is, I think, in fantastic shape. The drainage is excellent. There's some bunker stuff that we still need to work on. But getting the crabgrass off the greens, the goosegrass off the greens, keeping them at a relatively quick pace for you guys to play on, and surrounding people that come in out of state and whatever. I think we can do that. The grass is made for that. If I can just get it healthy, and I think we can have really, really great greens, get them tighter. So I don't want to see a big leaf in the thing. I want to see small, tight leaves, and that's just constant work. And you really aren't talking about that much any more money to do that.
What are they growing right now?
They're about 9.5.
I was gonna, have we checked the speed, and do you know what they're running at on a state?
They're about 9.5. We've had some greens with some issues with the water, and they aren't quite as strong. Those are going to roll a little bit faster, of course. The consistency is going to be through the fertilization and that program, which I'm currently working on right now. I've already sent out 2 different companies, 2 different soil samples. I want to see how well they match if anybody's trying to pull a fast one on us. And then I'm going to send out an independent study on a soil sample without using our local vendors and stuff like that. So I'm waiting on those. I should have those within a week or 2, and then I'll go from there.
There's a couple of questions that I have on that. On number 12, what is that called? Is it a rot? The rotted out areas, or is it a fungus?
It's a fungus.
Okay.
It's a fungus.
Yeah, I'll let you explain that, because as we move on, you'll see that everybody in this committee, pretty much everybody in this gets hit with all these questions. And like I've always said, we'll ask these questions here so that when people ask us, this committee's going to be lined up with the same answer across the board, from Dennis to JJ to us, as to what we're doing. It gives us a sense of being very well organized, and we all are aware of the problem and what we're doing about it.
Sure.
So that's a fungus that you guys are working on right now?
Yeah, it's a fungus, and what it is in that area we've actually blamed it on tree roots before. I've been out here, for years playing here, and the trees are very close to the greens. They'll creep up underneath there and suck all the life out of them. And the more chemicals, the more fertilizer you put on, the better the trees do, and it pretty much sucks the life out of the grass. So what happens is with the creek there and the air movement, and the air is coming towards those trees, never, out of the north, it doesn't matter, you're already too late. So there's lack of air movement. So what the grass does, it gets thin. Once it gets thin, it'll let that algae start growing on top, which is in the water. And then once your soils, I want to call it not permeate, but once the soils get to a certain level, it won't let the water down. So basically, if you try to fertilize it without aerifying it, disturbing it, using almost basically a Clorox to get rid of it, it doesn't take long for it to go away. And once it goes away, it kills the roots. So we're actually looking at getting some sod to sod those areas. And that might be a green, if we don't decide to overseed, that might be a green, that's the only one we overseed. We don't want those bumps and humps all through the winter. So that's just something to think about.
So
As we move forward, also the idea of what I call, in my own world over here, is to eliminate emergency room situations. In other words, that we see this golf course as a process of adjusting, minor adjustments here and there to maintain, rather than to have an emergency like we did a couple of years ago with Juan and all that kind of stuff. And I think that communication
want y'all to be looking for things to do instead of telling us things to do. That's the goal.
So this was something that I had brought up with Tom. He was, Tom was a little different, a little hesitant in communicating, and how Tom was a little bit more reserved. What I'm gonna do is every quarter or something, we're gonna have a little article by David, and I'll help him write it. It's just like real quick, when it gets to be right between winter and spring or whatever, or right when it's about to turn from summer to fall, we let the rough grow a little thick. And everybody's like, hey, it's too thick or whatever. But the reason is that we know it's gonna get thinned out, and if we cut it too short before it goes dormant, then at the end we have no rough technically, and that's when you're gonna be fighting to try to keep rough. So you let it grow higher or thicker for the meantime, and then as it's thinning out, you really don't notice it, and you never really go through a wall stage. So that's something that I can explain to one person, but we're gonna have like a little newsletter. We're gonna post it in the restrooms and on the golf carts, where I can sit there with David and he can explain to me. And if somebody sees David, I know David's gonna take the time, because he's probably known that person for 20 years, to explain why. So I think that'll just help the communication between the golfer and us.
Good job. And that's all we're asking. I mean, I guess that's all we're asking for. Remember, we haven't seen each other, or this committee hasn't gotten together but twice in the last, or 3 times in the last, going on 18 months or so. So we are kind of falling behind on that aspect of it, and it keeps us from moving forward and looking at other things other than the maintenance side of it. Because I know that we've discussed the potential of this course in terms of from point A to point C of everything that we'd like to see or potentially see out there. So it keeps us, when we know that you guys have this in order and online, it allows us to continue, like Dave said right now. I'd rather have you guys telling me what else is out there for us to do, rather than just stating the obvious.
That's a goal.
Correct.
I'm very
This is JJ. Quick question. As far as that's the comment. I know Dennis mentioned to you. If at any time personnel-wise you need something, if we coordinate with you all, with our park staff, you need help, whatever, we're more than glad to help. And probably relief. Okay, so whenever you need help out of the course, we're more than glad to help you out. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Dennis? On course maintenance or upkeep?
I think at this point, for now, we're good. Kind of just keeping you informed of the leaks that we had, but everything kind of seems to be moving in the right direction. And as you can tell, the course is in great shape. So.
Okay. All right.
You want to move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
The proposed study, pricing of the lighting ranges and the holes 10, 11, and 12.
I think everybody has a copy of the PowerPoint. I said Ruthie with some copies, Rick. You have a copy of it? I'm not even sure it's being, it'll take me a while.
No, they got copies here. We got copies.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so as we met with the consultants to give us an idea price-wise of what we wanted to talk about, possibly lighting up the range, possibly lighting up holes 10, 11, and 12. And we told them to see how much it will cost us, maybe in phases. All right, and there's benefits to lighting up the range, and I'll let Dennis speak about that in just a minute. So if you flip the page to the purpose,
But we leave at 8:45. We usually tell the guys if they come and get a range bucket at 7, just to make sure that they're done by 8:30, 8:45. And we really don't get many, and if we get some, it'll be at 7:30 because of the heat. But, you know, we've talked about this at length of how beneficial it would be.
Okay. Would that include leaving the whole golf course open, or I mean, in terms of the clubhouse and everything until you know we shut down? Because if we're looking at illuminating those areas and close the golf course, maybe at a limited amount of time, maybe Mondays, Wednesdays, or Saturday, whatever it is, however the schedule is going to go. We plan on leaving those lights on and then providing access to the clubhouse and everything until they shut down.
Yeah, so the idea would be to obviously revisit it, but in order to be efficient, is either to have a trailer that you would park there and you could serve snacks and alcohols, because obviously, yes, the golf is going to be a good revenue, an increase in revenue because of the available times, but if you go to that place and visit it, I mean, their clubhouse is full of people eating, watching Spurs, watching baseball games, going to hit balls, coming back, sitting down, drinking some more. So the idea would be for us to obviously have the clubhouse open. If we later on find out, well, you know what, we'd be as effective and efficient having a little trailer there serving balls and having the balls, range balls and everything there, maybe move it to that extent. But the idea would be to have the clubhouse open throughout that time period, because now you can come hit balls, have dinner. So it would also maybe even help us in the restaurant side. So that would be the overall. And the benefit of our golf carts is that we can actually control where the golf carts can go after 8 o'clock or after 9 o'clock. We can limit them to a certain area so that we don't have somebody just, you know, out of curiosity wander off to hole 5 and God forbid something happens, you know. So we have a lot of control with those golf carts.
Good. Okay, yeah, let's just continue to kick it around. I'm going through the proposal right now, and we start to answers of it.
Right, okay, so I think, yes, that's one of the things that we want to keep that restaurant open, you know, so we can work hand in hand with that. All right, driving range illumination. Next page, scope, illumination installation of the driving range. Estimated cost will be about $200,000 for the range only. Okay. This estimated amount considers the full elimination of the driving range, the complete, all the way from, and I think I asked him for the putting green, and he said he would get enough illumination to do the putting green as well. Okay? Well, that's pretty much the whole area there that we're talking about. Going for reduction, if we were to light the tee box primarily and have less illumination towards the back. So, if we need to cut down, you know, like you said, that we'll have to light the whole table just from the tee boxes facing out. But you do lose as you get further away from the tee box, some illumination.
Well, I mean, most players won't need more than maybe to see 250, Coach. I know over there they do have a couple in the back when, you know, you got guys there in San Antonio hitting the ball 320, 330. But I think if you consider what you're doing in the evening, I don't think it's so much worried about distance. You're just kind of seeing the direction is going the right way. You know, they'll be safe. So I think you're right in saying that we could reduce it towards the back, you know, for obviously cost benefits.
Right. Okay. All right. Then the next one, next page. Course illumination. If we do holes 10, 11, and 12, about $450,000. To the entire course, we're talking about $2 million to do the whole course. But for the whole 10, 11, and 12, we said about $450,000 that we will eliminate. And the range was 200,000, so you're talking about 650,000.
So I'm just going to talk a little bit on this, Coach. I know when we first thought about it, we said like full course, like hole 10, that's a par 5. Maybe that's why it's a little higher than, you know, it's a little high, but after talking to like maybe a couple of people and to Dave here, maybe we set up just a par 3, even though they're par 5s during the day and par 4s, but in the evening, we reduce the lighting and we reduce the cost by strategically placing an area that's going to be used for night, because also you're going to eliminate the wear and tear on the actual course itself. Let's say you decide that you're gonna average from 150 yards to about 125 yards. Obviously, the par threes take care of themselves. But the like a par five, well, then you're gonna find an area that's kind of be a little bit out of the way from 140 yards, and now you eliminate having to light up, all the way from 550 yards away. So hopefully that will eliminate cost. Number two is, as much as I would want the driving range and the 10, 11, and 12, if I had to pick a choice, I would say 10, 11, and 12, just for the reason that I think there's already places that you can go hit a ball at night. So we would, we're still going to be considered a little bit of a drive. Why would we drive all the way out there? But if you have 10, 11, and 12, and then we can worry about the range later, I think that's going to be the big draw, where people are going to be like, hey, I'm going to go play some holes. I'm going to get to hit the ball, chip it, putt it. And that's where we're going to get, I think, the best bang for our buck. That's just me.
Okay, that's something maybe we can bring up to the committee.
Yeah.
Discuss.
Exactly.
Good point.
Yeah.
A good point. Now, like in hole number 5, so you were saying that you will make it a par 3 and possibly put a tee box on the other side of the creek?
Even if it's just a hitting area, if you go look at that course, they're not great tee boxes. It's almost just like a hitting area. So let's say you find a spot 125 yards out, and you kind of, let's say at the evening, the guy in the cardboard or somebody goes and puts the tees where they're supposed to. That way they're not in the way during the day. But you just go out there, you set up. Okay, that's where you're gonna hit from, but that's where the light's at and all that stuff, so that you're still playing golf, but we don't have to worry about spending so much on lighting the whole course. You get me? And I think you brought this up when you and I wrote it. You're like, Dennis, would it be better just to make it par threes? So, yeah.
Okay. So let's make a presentation and we'll discuss it with the committee, see what way they want to move forward so that we can bring it up to, to the council and see if we can move forward with it.
Definitely.
And then, go ahead.
No, we're just agreeing with you.
Yeah, and then, at the next page, you see some examples of how it looks, elimination examples. And that's the last page. If you don't have any questions or concerns, let's discuss now to see what direction the company would like to move forward. Hopefully, get it done.
Here's a question. Yeah, how much would you charge people to play at night? Or how would you
I think it's
line that up?
it's about $19 in San Antonio. No card.
No
They
card.
don't have cards in it, or they don't have cards period on that course. It's
Would
the
we
card.
have cards?
We could, because of our GPS.
Yeah.
We would be able to do it because we can control where they go.
So $19 a pop.
Well, the only problem would be is you're gonna run into some dark places,
Yeah,
so that would be a liability then.
yeah. So we gotta watch out the bridges and all that stuff. That's where our course is a little different since it's a real course. But luckily, we can slow down the carts to like a crawl in those spaces where. And if you know, and me, because I've been here and I work at night and I drive around with, it's like you have a flashlight because that screen's so bright. So it illuminates. Remember when we had night golf before those golf carts, it was dark.
Yeah.
But this time when we drive at night, you're like, oh, it's not too bad because it's so bright. But yeah, we would have to, probably by the time all this happens, we would already be in line to get some new carts. So we can actually start looking at maybe having some carts that have some sort of little light. But the GPS, I mean, you could slow it down to a crawl where it's not gonna go more than 3 miles per hour at night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pain in the, you know what?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's safety, and you're still playing golf. How many times have you gone home and watched golf at 8:30 at night, wishing you had 3 more hours out of golf?
I do agree with you on that one.
So I know we spoke about this before COVID hit and all this crazy stuff, or even when COVID hits, that maybe if we could all take a trip and go look at this place, and you could just see what we're talking about, because they make it is their money maker now for San Antonio. Yeah, big time.
We can certainly plan something like that. So I think my personal biggest concern is that we have all our information in order by the time we present it to council, that we have some sort of idea, get a cost analysis, and then get a how long can it be up for itself and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
the proposal, this committee, the only 3 holes that are gonna be lit as part 3s.
No. We just kind of, I guess, we wanted to break down the cost analysis. I mean, the idea would be to get it all lit up, but, you know, just.
Well, I mean, I think at a minimum, see, so the reason why that San Antonio facility, it makes money, obviously, because it's cooler at night, we get to play golf at 9, but you have 9 holes to play.
Yeah.
I mean, every sundowner I've ever played in, it's 9 holes. We understand you're not going to be playing golf till odd hours of the night, but you know, when the sun goes down, you want to be able to, you know, play a full 9. And I think that's a bigger draw, and I think that's worth $20 or $25 with the card, as opposed to, you know, just playing a few holes or having the ability to play a few holes. And then, let's say you only have a few holes. I mean, let's say you have a bunch of people, it might back up. It could back up groups. You know, people are going to be waiting for just 3 holes, and I don't know if there's value in that.
No. Yeah, we would definitely want to do 9 holes. The idea was just to start seeing how it would price out. And they came up with which were the 3 holes we would do at 10, 11, and 12. The idea would be to do 9 and 9, and that'd be fantastic. But we were just trying to get a breakdown of, we didn't even know what it was going to cost. So that was kind of why we threw out, when they said $2 million for the whole course, we were kind of like, whoa. You know, so we started saying, what about this, what about that? But yeah, the idea would be to do 9, because like you said, sundowners and all that can easily be played all the time now because it's 9 holes.
I mean, I wonder what the cost would be because, I mean, let's say you took the front 9 and every hole is lit just enough for part 3s for 9 holes. So now you have essentially at night, the front 9 turns into a par 3 golf course.
Correct.
So, I mean, I think there's value in that. People are going to drive to 15, 20 minutes to play something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know, just
No, it makes sense. I mean, I understand. You know, I mean, if the whole course is, what did I say,
2 mil.
2 mil? 9 holes, let's say mil.
And that's when we were talking about lighting them up the par 5s and the par 4s. So maybe a couple $100,000 saved, but like Joaquin says, you have 9 now. So now you can stand out and say like, well, we have the only 9 lit golf holes at night, and I would say South Texas for sure.
right.
Yeah.
Are we talking about lighting up the driving range as well? That first and then the 3 hole?
Well, either way, it was just a price breakdown, so that, but, you know, if you do the range, with the range, you can go and get Alexander range, or you can go, I think Casablanca has lights now.
Yes.
So, that doesn't really set us apart, but if you do a couple holes, but like Joaquin says, obviously, 9 holes would be.
Yeah, but you are planning to do the driving range and then the 3 holes, is that correct?
Well, no, that was just the price breakdown, so they just gave us the price breakdown. We haven't decided which ones to do first or whatever.
If the committee gives me the order to look and get a cost analysis on the front 9.
Yeah, let's do it front end.
Price on that. And then in there include the driving range, you know, which we already have driving range. Just to give me the front 9 so that we can make it to 9 hole golf course back and then tell the consultants to look at that. But make it all part 3s.
Correct.
Exactly, like, you don't, okay, so the par 5s and par 4s, you don't need lighting in or around the tee boxes because those play as par 5s and par 4s. You only need enough lighting for at a maximum 150 yards and in for each hole. So you might still save money because that proposal that PowerPoint was the entire golf course. We're not saying the entire golf course, we're saying just enough lighting for a tee box within 150 yards and then 3. That's all.
Right.
Yeah.
One thing that they did say, and this, let me give you an example. Picture hole 1 and 9. Okay? So you put light poles between those 2 holes. You're cutting down on the cost because that pole is going to light 2 holes. You see what I'm talking about? So that pole will hold, let's say with a part, the holder hole will be a part 3 of 150 yards and in.
I'll tell him on number 9 to light up the river for you. Sure. You can find your home.
Why? It's just a chair. It doesn't apply to me. Makes this group look for it with it.
No, but yes, Joaquin, if you go to the San Antonio Golf Course, there is a maximum of 3 lights per hole work. One where you said like from 150 yards facing the green, and then there's 1 and maybe 2 around the green. And then like Coach said, once some of those kind of illuminate the next tee box because they have some lights facing the green, and then on the back side of the pole they have it facing towards the tee box where the next hole is.
Yeah.
So like on number 9 and 1, if you put one on the cart path area, illuminating, let's say, the blue tee box, and the back end is illuminating over here by the 150, then there's your tee shot for 9 and your tee shot for 1.
Precisely.
Right.
Not only that, it's gonna help also in the lighting and the car pack.
Mm-hmm.
So let's not try to cut back so many lights.
Yeah, that'll be good.
So yeah, JJ, I think the idea now that it's in here, I think it was an excellent point by Joaquin. Give these guys an opportunity to come back with answers for 9 holes.
Okay.
And because I'm telling you, I think with the amount for 3 holes and then adding a little bit more for 9, I think it's not, it'll benefit the explanation, the presentation to council, right? Without getting involved, without getting too far ahead of yourself and providing them something that's going to be outrageous. When you say 9 holes, I think that'll be more conducive for them to consider it.
Right. I think it'd be more of a moneymaker, you know, than you putting 9 holes out there, like Brenda said, maybe only in South Texas, you can actually call it that.
David Smith brought up a very good point right now. He goes, now, for the night, since it'll be such a hot commodity, you can even sell memberships prior. Where, hey, you're gonna get to be a member at the night. You know, so you almost you can break it down.
And if you're not a member,
You pay a little more.
You pay a lot more.
$4 or $5 more around. But that gives us some money before the whole project even takes course.
Just do a survey, basically.
Do a survey.
And just for the information to everyone, where we're going to get the money, the money will be drawn from the sports venue, for the sports venue tax that we have, the account. That same one that comes with the unit trade, with the sports complex, and the max. So that's where this money will be drawn from.
And that's I'm telling you, presentation is going to be everything. From what I see, from hearing from everybody here, is this is viable. This can be a productive part of it. Not to disrespect any other venue, but this can be a money maker rather than a money drainer. You know, and so it's going to be very important that if it's going to come from that, from the sport venue tax, and that we have all our ducks in a row when we're explaining it to them, because for the amount of the investment and what it provides, it's going to be unheard of down here. But we need to have that very well explained to them as to, comparative analysis. Hey, unit trade doesn't it's not bringing anything. LA is not bringing anything. And then you provide them with this. This is going to bring you pretty good money. Right. I think that's the seller right there. Sure.
Okay, then everybody, I don't know if you need to make a motion. You want me to go ahead? I want to, for the record, what direction you want me to take?
Well, let me say it out loud then. All those in favor of allowing JJ to pursue this to the consultants to see if we can turn it into a nine-hole, nine course, say yay. Rodriguez, yay. Okay. So you can pursue it from that angle now.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We'll definitely reach out to the consultants. Hopefully, for the August meeting, hopefully I'll have some numbers so we can move on this as soon as I don't want to say it because Rick said once we say yes, I need to get a presentation going and go talk to your city council members. Know this can stop the pipeline. Then hopefully we can get their backing on this. Okay. So all right. That's all I mean. Dennis, you got number 3.
What is that one, Coach? I don't know from you.
Club
Okay, yes, so this year, once we were able to open up the clubhouse, we were able to go into our capital contribution fund, and if you notice, we got Parks and Rec to come install some fans, kind of in our sitting area where we have the men's league sundowners. They have some lighting there and some fans. It's a nice touch. I think we're gonna be looking to, now that Ruth is back on board and before COVID hit, looking at other ways to make the clubhouse a little more user-friendly. As Rick has mentioned before, it's tough to watch TV with the sun coming through those windows. It makes it even uncomfortable because even though the clubhouse is 72 degrees, that sun's hitting you directly on your forearm or on the side of your face while you're trying to watch TV. So we're gonna pursue that now that Ruth is back and share with her to go back and look into those options that we were talking about.
Yeah, Dennis, can you explain to the new members what that capital fund is, what we have and how it's being used?
Yeah, so Captain, you know how when you get charged that $1. That $1 goes into a capital contribution that the city of Laredo has. I think last we checked, we had about $100,000 in there. We haven't touched it in a while. That's for situations for capital improvements and stuff like that. So in essence, I know you've been in the clubhouse. You used to be here on Sundays. The sun's hitting you. You're trying to watch the football game. So it doesn't give you that feeling where I want to go back there and watch the game there. So we had talked to Ruth and then COVID hit, but maybe putting some shaded, either some shades, bring down some screens, automated, whatever the case is. And now that Ruth is back with us, we're going to go ahead and look into that. And just to make the clubhouse a better environment, so you want to come and hang out and extend the people's stay here. If we could get everybody that comes in already to say spend an extra $6 because they bought 2 more beers or they bought a food platter, it's going to overall help the whole course. So that's the idea with that. But the capital contribution fund is for that. That money does go somewhere and it's kept track of, and we can use it later for stuff like this.
Now, the shades, we don't want to block the Riverview. We don't have to. It's just something we can bring them up or makes it look nice whenever we want to open them up or whatnot. So we'll give you a different option. We'll come up with different options, see what we want to come up with.
Always keep in mind, Jay, that as well, due respect to Mr. Jacobs, he's going to always be looking at the aesthetics part of it, because as he said, there's got to be a general rule that we take away from the beauty and the view of the course. So we're just going to have to be thinking a little bit more on how to do these things that take that into consideration.
Okay. You're welcome. All right. Anything else, Dennis?
I think for now, that's it.
Jay, so then, gentlemen, as we move forward to the last part of the meeting, this is where we get to ask what we would like to be discussed for the next meeting. What items do you want? And you don't have to do it right now. You can just call Ruth anytime before we post the agenda for public. That way we can have an item in there so that it'll give staff enough time to research what you want,
wait till he came on board. So
Okay.
can you follow up on the notes so we can follow up with risk management? So
Yes,
we
sir.
can come up with a safety plan?
Okay.
Okay, and yeah, so put it on from this point on, Jay, as part of our agenda. That way, we can continuously discuss it. If something happens between now and then, we've been working on it and we've been pushing it so that, they can see this committee as a working committee and just not, sitting here and talking, which are very important things that we talked about today, but we're digging in further into how else we can improve on the accessibility and the safety of this golf course. And there's some other things that I left on that text to you that we need to discuss, and we'll move forward as we move forward. We will continue to move it inch by inch. On the customer service end of it, on the cart, the number one thing that people are discussing right now out there is when are we getting the new carts? So you might want to bring something for next month on that.
Right. And just to expand on that a little bit, we probably have switched out 35 pedal sensors, and we told the guy, why can't you just switch out all 75? He goes, I have to wait till we're talking to Club Car till the other pedal sensors go bad. I go, it's just a matter of time. You guys know you have bad pedal sensors. This is the second time. The first year was it's the batteries. They blamed us, and then afterwards, when they wanted us to renew renew with them, they're like, you know what, guys, we messed up. We're actually throwing in the upgraded batteries for you all because we understand as a customer that you guys want to stay. We want you to stay with us, and we realized that it was a manufacturer problem. Well, now we came to this, and now it's the gas sensor or the pedal sensor problem. That's why you get those carts that do that. They come, they pop them out. We ask them, do them all. They go, we can't. So we've already put in the new order for the next 15 or 17 carts that are doing it. They're not the same ones, it's the different ones. But I think that coming around the next time around, we will revisit or visit with some other vendors, just because that's back to back that we get with Club Card. And it's just, I mean, we pay a lot of money for those cards.
And doing
Yeah,
both.
so do we, Dennis, I think one of the questions, do we have to wait? I know you and I spoke about it. Do we have to wait until the end of the lease agreement, or do we, or after the second year, we can go ahead and renew it and ask for new ones?
So this is the...
This August will be 2 years, guys, by FY.
Correct. Yeah, and I think it's a 4-year lease, if I'm not mistaken, or like a 45-month lease or whatever. In the past, what happened, and maybe it was because they realized it was the batteries, they're like, oh, you know what, you need one. We broke out a year early, but it didn't affect us because we went with Club Card. Now, if we go with somebody else, that's when we probably would affect us. But if they're gonna let us upgrade to the new cards without a penalty, they're just gonna take the old ones, resell them, whatever they're gonna do with them, and just our payment stays the same and we move forward, then maybe it is time to revisit that and use the whole gas pedal incident as a reason for it, because it really is not fair that we're paying X amount a month. They're not getting 78% of the payment, they're getting 100% of the payment when we're not able to use our fleet to 100% because, you know.
That is the key.
Mm-hmm.
That is the key. We leave our patrons hanging, and it makes us look bad because it seems like we're not providing the customer service that they deserve.
Correct.
And it's on them. So yeah, well, I mean, so let's revisit that. Let's kick it around and figure out what we need to do, because you're right. The answer might not be to get a whole new badge, but anytime that this happens, what do we need to do? But I guess more understanding from our end is and figure out how this system works is a good idea for you to bring up next month.
Okay, put that on there.
Dennis, can you have the service agreement that we have with them, and we should share, put it like in a little bullet point
Yeah,
presentation?
I'll look for it and we send it. I think I have a copy and the city of Laredo has a copy, but I'll look for mine. I should have it in an email somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else from this committee that we need to discuss?
No, sir.
Everybody okay?
Yeah.
Sorry I couldn't make it. I was under the weather today. I was looking forward to seeing you guys out there.
I'll save your sandwich, Rick.
Thank you. Appreciate it for tomorrow. Hopefully I'm ready to go for tomorrow night.
That's right. Sunday.
I've got
So,
Yes, Louis got a question.
looking forward to it, man. I mean, like I said, everybody is already kind of excited. The golf course is looking in good shape, headed in the right direction. So let's just keep it up, and anything that we need to do to get moving on
Rick, hold on. Louis got a question.
Unless you got more to say.
So what?
I was wondering about the two-wheel carts, the ones where you drive by yourself with COVID and all like that, and people don't want to be very close to other people. Have you looked into that at all?
I don't know if you guys got that on the Zoom, but I'm just saying, he was mentioning the two-wheel carts for one person. And it's something that we have started to look, and we're researching it online. They have different varieties, and they're actually less expensive. The only thing we have to make sure is that we're gonna go with one of these companies that's been doing it for a while, and just to get a price, because there's the walking ones, which would be a good idea to have 3 or 4. But now with COVID and this whole thing and so forth, maybe it is time to start looking at 2-passenger or 1-passenger golf cart. And if there's a price difference, well, obviously we can go with a 2-person golf cart for most of our fleet and 1-person golf cart for the regular fleet. And maybe that person pays a little extra because they want to have that safety, concern or whatever. But it's worth it, right? Whether it's a couple, but whatever the cost would be incurred by us, we just pass it on. Nothing for us to make extra money on. But that's a good question, and we'll definitely. I know that it's been brought up in a lot of our meetings with corporate, because that is an option nowadays.
Well, especially now.
Yeah, exactly. Did you get that? Okay.
Yeah, great job. Yeah, so let's just keep moving forward. I'm excited about this, and now the weather and COVID is behind us, and the weather's coming at us. Let's take this place to where we really want to see it. I mean, I think this place is top notch. I don't see any reason why we can't make it the best golf course in Texas. This thing has the potential to do that. So that's wrong. That's my personal feeling, and I'll certainly work as hard as I can to get it there.
You got it. Yes, sir.
Dennis, just real quick before we adjourn, just want to real quick, how's it going there? We having weddings now, parties, activities, and all that going on there?
Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, May and June we're very busy with graduation parties, either from high school and college. Our wedding venue will have its first wedding venue inside August 6th and August 14th, or August 7th and 14th. July 30th, we have a large dinner reservation upstairs, so they're starting to come in. Like when I told corporate, they're like, well, the numbers don't look the same still, because let's say you had 25 weddings in 2019, and right now we have about 25 reservations for 2021 and 2022. And they noticed that the numbers weren't the same. I go, well, remember, they're not having 200-person weddings anymore. We're seeing the maximum about 70, which, it's still good, but, it does give us a chance to go back and say, okay, is there some pricing that we can adjust, because we know obviously COVID has changed a lot of things. So we're excited that we're back, but we did notice that the sizes are smaller.
Okay. Yeah, good. Thank you. Jeff, have any more questions? This meeting is adjourned.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.